Assalamu alaikum. As we have done with 3 out of 4 techniques of physical examination of abdomen, now comes palpation, which is performed at last. Palpation is a technique of physical examination. It is done by using the sense of touch. 3 different parts of the hand can be used during the palpation, and they are finger pads, ulnar or palmar surface, and dorsal surface. While finger pads are sensitive to fine tactile discriminations, these are pulses, texture, size, consistency, and shape. Ulnar or palmar surface is sensitive to vibration and thrills, while dorsal surface is sensitive to temperature. There are some general guidelines for palpation of abdomen. These are: the examiner hands should be clean and warm, the fingernails should be cut short, areas of the tenderness should be palpated at last, deep palpation should be done after the superficial palpation, and the examiner should be sensitive to the client's verbal and facial expressions indicating discomfort. There may be 4 types of palpation. These are light palpation, moderate palpation, deep palpation, and bimanual palpation. Light palpation is also called superficial palpation. To perform light palpation of the abdomen, the examiner will place his or her hand on the surface and compress to a depth of 1 cm in dipping motion. Then gently lift the fingers and move to the next area. Perform light palpation in all 4 quadrants. Normally, abdomen is non-tender and soft, and there is no muscle guarding, but if present, then it will suggest peritonitis. To perform moderate palpation, the examiner will place the hand over the surface and depress the skin surface 1 to 2 cm in circular motion, and note the size, consistency, and mobility of the structures. To perform deep palpation, the examiner will place the dominant hand on the skin surface and apply pressure. The skin should be depressed to 5 to 8 cm in dipping motion. All 4 quadrants could be assessed in clockwise manner. Deep palpation allows to feel very deep organs or structures that are covered by thick muscles. Feel for any mass and look for its location, size, shape, consistency, tenderness, pulsations, mobility with respiration or with examining hand. Also feel for any organomegaly if present. Bimanual palpation is done if patient is very obese or with thick rigid skin. It involves use of 2 hands, placing one on each side of the body part. Use one hand to apply pressure and the other hand to feel the structure. Note the size, shape, consistency, mobility of the structures. Bimanual palpation is done to assess uterus, breast, and spleen. Normally, mild tenderness may occur when palpating sigmoid colon. Other than that, no tenderness should be felt. The picture is showing the light palpation and deep palpation. Palpation is done for the assessment of peritoneal inflammation. Ask the patient to cough and determine where the cough produces pain. Then palpate gently with one finger to map the area of tenderness. Palpation is also done for checking rebound tenderness. Examiner will watch and listen to the patient for signs of pain and press fingers in firmly and slowly and withdraw quickly. Rebound tenderness shows that finger withdrawal has caused the pain but not the pressure, and this indicates peritonitis. Palpation of the liver. Liver is palpated in order to evaluate its surface, consistency, and tenderness. Palpation of the liver is done by two methods. These are by manual palpation and second is hooking method. To palpate by manually, the the examiner will stand at the client's right side and place the left hand under the client's back at the level of 11th to 12th rib. Examiner will lay right hand parallel to the right costal margin. Fingertips should point towards the client's head. Then he will ask the client to inhale, then compress upward and inward with your fingers. Second technique is hooking technique. To palpate by hooking method, the examiner will stand to the right of the client's chest and curl or hook the fingers of both hands over the edge of the right costal margin. Then ask the client to take a deep breath and gently but firmly pull inward and upward with the fingers. Picture A is showing the hooking technique and picture B is showing the bimanual technique of palpation of liver. Palpation of liver is also done for the assessment of tenderness. To assess tenderness, the examiner will place a left hand flat on the lower right rib cage and then strike the hand with the ulnar surface of right fist. Then ask the patient to compare the sensation with that produced by a similar strike on the left side. If the strike on the right side produces pain or tenderness, then it will indicate inflammation of liver. As the picture is showing. Palpation of gallbladder. Palpation of gallbladder is also done by hooking technique. The examiner will hook fingers or thumbs of the right hand under the costal margin and ask the patient to take a deep breath. If the patient is unable to continue breathing due to pain, it indicates positive Murphy's sign, and Murphy's sign is a classical sign for cholecystitis. The spleen is usually not palpable. Percussion of the spleen cannot confirm splenomegaly. It is confirmed by palpation. To palpate the spleen, the examiner will approach the patient from right side, reach over and around under patient with the left hand. Then he will place his right hand below left costal margin and press in towards the spleen. Then he will ask the patient to take a deep breath. At the height of inspiration, slowly release the pressure on the examining hand. At this point, the fingertips will slip over the lower pole of the spleen when it is significantly enlarged. And also note for any tenderness. If the spleen is not palpable, move the examining hand upwards after each inspiration until the fingertips are under the costal margin. Repeat this procedure along the entire rib margin as the position of the enlarging splenic tip is variable. If still not palpable, position the patient in the right lateral position with the left hip and knee flexed and then repeat all procedure. Palpation of the left kidney. From the patient's left side, the examiner will place hand below and parallel to 12th rib. Try to bring the left kidney anteriorly by putting pressure and place right hand in the left upper quadrant. The examiner will then instruct the patient to take a deep breath. At the peak of inspiration, he will press his right hand firmly and deeply into the left upper quadrant below the costal margin. Then he will try to capture the kidney. Now ask the patient to exhale and stop breathing for a while. Slowly release pressure of the right hand. Now feel for the kidney to slide back. If it is palpable, then describe size, contour and tenderness. Normally left kidney is rarely palpable. Palpation of the right kidney. To palpate the right kidney, the examiner will return to the right side of the patient and then place his left hand under the patient's back as the diagram is showing and try to displace the kidney anteriorly. Then he will place a right hand at the right upper quadrant under the costal margin and will proceed as the examining left kidney. Normal right kidney may be palpable, especially in thin and well relaxed individuals. Kidney tenderness may also be assessed. It is done by finding the costovertebral angle, the angle formed by the lower border of the 12th rib and the transverse process of the upper lumbar vertebra. The examiner will place left hand flat in this area on one side and hit the hand sharply with the fist of the other. Patient will admit to tenderness if present, signifying any pyelonephritis. Palpation of the urinary bladder. Bladder palpation is unnecessary unless there is a suspicion of a urinary retention. Normally, bladder is not palpable unless it is distended above the symphysis pubis. So, palpate above the symphysis pubis. By palpation, distended bladder feel smooth and round and check for any tenderness. An empty bladder is not palpable. Assessment of the aorta. To assess aorta, the examiner will press firmly deep in the upper abdomen slightly to the left midline and then feel for aortic pulsation by using index and thumb. In people more than 50 years, assess the width of the aorta by placing one hand on each side of the aorta. Normal aortic pulsation is not more than 3 cm, while average is 2.5 cm. Expansion of the aortic pulsation suggests aortic aneurysm, as the picture is showing. There are some special tests in the assessment of abdomen which are done for ruling out appendicitis. For this, the examiner will instruct the patient to point where the pain started, where it is now, then ask him to cuff. Ask if the pain increases with cuffing. Then he will search an area of localized tenderness. Tenderness in right lower quadrant suggests appendicitis. These specialized tests involve on the number 1 Robson sign. Pain in the right lower quadrant during left-sided pressure indicates appendicitis. Referred rebound tenderness. Pain in the right lower quadrant on quick withdrawal during left side pressure is known as referred rebound tenderness. Now comes So's sign. Place your hand above the patient's right knee. Ask the patient to raise his thigh against the examiner hand. Normally no pain should occur. Obturator sign. It is performed via flexing the patient's right thigh at the hip with knee bent, then rotate the leg internally at the hip. Normally no pain should occur. On the last comes cutaneous hyposthesia. Gently pick up a fold of skin between examiner thumb and index finger. Normally no pain should occur. As the picture is showing, a normal source test is a negative test, and obturator test is a positive test if it shows no pain. Examination of hernial orifices. It is done by inspecting the inguinal and femoral region upon patient standing. Ask the patient to cough and again observe it. Invaginate the scrotum with your little finger and gently palpate the external inguinal ring and the posterior wall of the inguinal canal for possible muscular defects. Feel for impulse on cuffing. If hernia is present, determine if reducible by massage or not. Examination of anus and rectum. General principles involve: anal canal is the outlet of GIT tract and this is 3.8 cm long. It merges with rectal mucosa at the anorectal junction. Sensory nerves in anal canal are responsible for pain due to any trauma. Sphincters. There are two concentric layers of muscles that keep anal canal closed. These are internal sphincter and external sphincter. Internal sphincter is under involuntary control by autonomic nervous system and external sphincter is it surrounds internal sphincter and it is under voluntary control. Hemorrhoids. With increased venous pressure which is due to portal hypertension, the veins in the rectum area could be enlarged or dilated. These are called hemorrhoids or varicosity. External hemorrhoids occur below the anorectal junction. They could itch and bleed with defecation and painful and swollen with thrombosis. They could be resolved and leave flabby skin on the top around anal opening. Internal hemorrhoids originate above anorectal junction. These are covered with mucosa and may appear as red mass with pressure, which is done by Valsalva maneuver. Picture is showing the location of internal hemorrhoids and external hemorrhoids. These are common abdominal abnormalities. They are striae, incisional hernia, and lipomas. This is all about abdominal examination. Thank you.